Alright, so it seems that on our quest to becoming radiant both in-game and in real life, we have found our current limit. Our training was taken to the next level, our Valorant grind was taken even further, and every second of the week was put towards conquering my goals. From dealing with the typical solo queue encounters, to my PC literally frying itself, allow me to show you guys what it looks like to relentlessly chase your dreams. First things first, our new wake up time is 4:30 AM. The reason being, last week I felt like I wasn't sleeping enough. I was waking up and I just wasn't feeling fully restored. Like I was kind of forcing myself to wake up a bit. By waking up at 4:30 but keeping my bedtime at 8, I get an additional 30 minutes of sleep every night. Hopefully that makes a difference, but we'll see. Regardless, first challenge of the day is getting ourselves to the gym. Today is our leg day, so I get straight into our squats. I started off with 5 kilos on the bar, but quickly surpassed that 12 repetition threshold and upped myself to 10. With that, my 12th rep was definitely reaching failure, so I do 3 sets of that. After that, continuing on to extensions and curls, which I do in a superset, so I'll do the extensions, and then without a rest do the curls, and then rest and do them again. But besides that, the only other exercise I do for our leg day is our calves, as that was one of our weaker points last week. And then I start to make my way home and get stuck into our first Valorant session of the week. But wait, before we continue, I have to bring you guys back to the previous day, before this week even started. Allow me to introduce Coach Oscar. I found his YouTube channel when I was looking at some jet guides and I really liked it, so I reached out to see if he'd give me some tips.
So this is a big problem right here. This is really suboptimal. Like, this can sometimes be a bad thing. Pretty fucking bad. We have all that utility. We know it's close left. Look what we're doing. Yeah, if I saw this in my lobbies, I would just report them for sabotaging my team.
Now, considering we want to be a superior man, it's our job to take on board every single piece of feedback. The first of which is the fact that I don't buy enough shotguns.
You're playing jet. You should have a shorty every single time you can buy a secondary.
Considering I've got no more than like a single kill on the shorty in my entire life, the first part of our practice session goes to just experimenting with different shotguns and learning how they work. After that, taking on board some feedback regarding my pathing.
Bro, I kind of want to throw up every time I see you execute C, I'm not gonna lie. Smoke here, dash up right, close. Second smoke on this thing right here. Holding this area right here and just playing on top of this is extremely strong on the post climb.
I go through Lotus practicing all the maneuvers that he recommended throughout the VOD review, and I definitely feel so much more comfortable just off that alone. And after he explained that I should be dashing into a smoke and then just slowing down for a second, reading the minimap, listening for sound cues, and playing with my team despite being on site with a smoke, it really all started to click. One of the biggest things holding back my jet entry was that I was simply dashing into my smoke and running out trying to fight people. However, what Coach Oscar explained is that the longer I'm in the smoke, the more pressure I create because they don't know whether I'm going to swing them or my teammates are going to swing them. This is all in line with the importance of slowing down, that even when you're explosive, there needs to be a balance of control. After about a 45-minute session, I head off to work. It was just a 3-hour shift, so I had plenty of time to come home and have a bit of a barbecue. Because I was going to see my partner for the rest of the day, the burger cheese today will be square, as that's the more formal version. It would just be disrespectful for me to eat a round burger cheese right before seeing my partner, and that's something I've come to learn. Some of the intentions that I set for the day were to try and align everything I do with my mission. Obviously, when I'm playing Valorant and working on my videos, I want as clear of a mind as possible. So whilst I was working today, cooking, eating, and going for a drive, I made sure that the #1 priority was not to overthink, to keep my mind clear, and to try and stay as mindful as possible. In keeping with the theme of alignment, one of the activities that I did with my partner was to take the dog for a walk and start my first sprint training session. The reason for the sprint training? We want more testosterone. Not only that, but I want to do a bit of cardio and get my heart health up without burning too many calories. I think this here is a perfect example of alignment, an example where everyone's happy, but we're still working towards our mission. Let's spend the rest of the day with my partner before coming home and making another burger cheese. One of the bits of feedback that Coach Oscar gave me was a lack of game time. That despite all the preparation, one of the best ways to develop myself is by simply playing the game. Considering I've got about an hour before it's time to start winding down, I said, you know what, let's just do a light warm-up, play a comp, and see how we go. One of the main takeaways from the coaching session was my lack of team play.
You will also notice throughout this VOD, it's like your post plant is completely quiet. Like, you will not call out anything during the post plants. The biggest issue is that you're not calling out a plan in the post plant, right? So you don't have that peek off me kind of thing.
I did learn to play with the team as Sky, so now I just have to apply the same logic to playing Jet.
can see bomb.
If we have bomb, don't pick, I'm coming.
Taxis.
Clove, get ready to pick with me. Oh, never mind. This ended up coming really natural. However, buying shotguns really didn't. Despite it being one of my main focuses for the game, I bought a judge or a shorty like 1 or 2 rounds out of the entire game, and it was something I just couldn't get myself to continue doing. However, the rounds where I didn't buy it, for example this one here, I was starting to see the usefulness in having a shorty in these certain situations. Imagine I jumped into the smoke and just shot him in the head, it would have been a lot easier. The attack side focus for the game was to be in front, leading the pack, and trying to be tradable as well as trading my teammates. I was able to make some use of the judge, but on attack I didn't really focus on buying it. However, on the attack side, this is where the importance of those post-plant calls come into play. Autocross cypher? I did try my best, but half the time the team wasn't even listening anyways, so... I also found myself naturally sitting in smokes a little bit longer, trying to listen for sound cues and take advantage of the pressure it creates. With this approach, I feel way more controlled. Like previously, I was running out instantly, dying and feeling a bit stressed. But when I slow down like this, it makes a world of a difference on my tension management and just overall smart decisions. You got a dart for Link? Finding opportunities where I could work with my team's utility was starting to come naturally. The team wasn't actually working with me, however, which is unfortunate, but nevertheless, it's still good practice to try and get these comms in. After a fair bit of limit testing, I was starting to get an idea of how I could actually take space and hold it. Despite us losing the game, I really did feel like a nuisance, and I feel like I did my job well, which is definitely a win in my books. This game finished at about 6:40, which left me enough time to get out a deathmatch where I focused just specifically on crosshair placement and pre-aiming angles. After that, getting a whole bunch of essential nutrition from my favourite snack of all time, beef liver, before whipping out my red light, my notepad, and doing a bunch of journaling. I tried my best to reflect on how I was feeling and get any thoughts that were on my mind out and onto paper before shooting for a new personal record in meditation. Despite feeling a bit restless towards the end, I get through 45 minutes, which is, hey, that's a PR. Anyways, the next morning came, but there was something on my mind. Something that Coach Oscar said that was really resonating with me in areas beyond just Valorant.
You're like unconsciously scared of being the first guy out, it feels like.
He was referring to my fear of death, my unwillingness to die for a greater cause. The capacity to transcend the fear of death for the sake of love is a quintessential form of the ultimate masculine gift. A gift that I want to give, not just to the world and the people that I want to inspire, but also to the family that I one day want to lead. During my sets, I was asking myself, what am I scared of? Am I scared of the pain? Am I scared of the fatigue? Like, what am I actually scared of? And with that, I realized there is nothing to be scared of anymore. So I started to crank up the intensity well and truly to failure, to the death, to the point where I can no longer lift if my life depended on it. I pushed myself to limits that I did not know that I was capable of. Let's just say this chest, shoulders and tries day was one of the most painful days I've experienced in a while. Feeling both the confidence and strength from the session, as well as the exhaustion and fatigue, I decided that once I arrived home, the best thing to do was to just sit down and spend half an hour responding to comments. The fact that everyone watching is on their own journey and has so much of their own knowledge to contribute is so powerful. Now, unfortunately, with today being a 9-hour shift, I didn't get much done throughout the day at all. I smashed some cheesy chicken and then a burger cheese when I get home, but then end up faced with this really frustrating problem. My screen was constantly being filled with these little white dots. They weren't dead pixels, but they were just so annoying. But the thing is, every single second counts, so I just pushed through and I tried not to be bothered by them, not let them distract me. I click some heads in the range, do some cool jet maneuvers, practice my knives, and then I end up just playing a single comp. Once again, I get a couple shotgun kills, and I'm trying my best to coordinate plays with the team. Raina, I'm going to go wide. Can you bait for me? I was able to make a couple plays here and there, but honestly the dots were throwing me off so hard and I didn't expect it to be as bad as it was. I ended up actually closing the game to update my drivers and I missed out on 2 rounds and came back, but by this point the team was very angry to say the least.
Dude, you are actually dog shit.
Oh, relax.
I was tired after a 9-hour shift. I had these random dots on my screen and I've got this emasculated guy in my ear just constantly talking nonsense.
Duelist can't even fucking kill pistols. Holy shit. guys are actually horrible. Please stop queuing.
Honestly, I just wanted out of the game. I just copped the loss and I didn't really care, and I go on to the next one. This time actually getting Haven so we can put to use some of Coach Oscar's advice. I was having an absolute blast with some of the new positioning that he showed me.
Good job.
I'm holding waterfall. As well as trying my best to coordinate post-plant plays. I actually remembered to buy a shorty, but I didn't get much use out of it. More and more, I was starting to feel like that nuisance that I was meant to be. I was hanging around in smokes a little bit longer, doing all the things that Coach Oscar was suggesting, but the one thing I couldn't wrap my head around today was why I was feeling so tense while I was aiming. Throughout the games today, I really didn't feel like there was a relaxed muscle in my body. I felt like my mind wasn't still. I felt like I just wasn't able to perform at my normal level. I was able to get a couple random kills here and there, but overall I had very little impact. I played really poorly and I definitely contributed to a loss. Considering I went as hard as I did at the gym, then smashed out a 9-hour shift, and then came home and got stuck into my grind, it's to be expected to perform like this. I shut down my computer, bring out the notepad, and try my best to do some journaling and get some thoughts onto paper once again. The emotions that I reported feeling were simply sadness and anger. It's days like this where I resent work the most, and just the idea that I absolutely have no choice. And that's just simply the way it is. I wish it wasn't so much a grind and I could just focus more on my creative endeavors. But unfortunately, I'm not one to go with the grain, so I am giving my absolute all to the YouTube channel regardless. This level of pressure is just constantly having me want to better myself, top the last week, progress harder, win more games, and see more growth. But all that does is make my losses feel so much worse. I need to slow down and make sure that I'm not playing to win and prove myself to a YouTube video. I need to make sure that the main focus is simply growth. I need to make sure that I've got a balance between recovery and grind, and that I'm not spending every single minute grinding, which I currently am. I need to figure out what the hell is going on with my monitor and why it's causing me so much stress. And I just simply need to make sure that I'm not playing Valorant on days where I'm this tired. I was able to smash out a 30-minute meditation, but my mind was racing and I was really struggling. In an attempt to get a bit more recovery, I tried to up my sleep quality by letting some cold air in, as well as taking some magnesium before bed, wearing my sleep mask and earplugs, and leaving myself a note in the morning to explain the changes that I decided I was going to make. Those changes will be to bring back the sad lamp and give it the respect I gave it when I first bought it, using it to set my circadian rhythm and help with more restorative sleep. From there, I'll go to the gym, and then from there, I'll go straight to work. What you're looking at is a brand new invention. I used adhesive to attach the sad lamp upside down to my tripod. I put the tripod on a slight slant. This allows the sad lamp to hit the top half of my eye, hitting the top of my cornea, the exact same way the sun would first thing in the morning, once again amplifying its effectiveness. 47 minutes past bedtime and I'm still bouncing off the walls. I got to bed at about 9:30, but now that I've got my sad lamp to set my circadian rhythm to whatever time I want, I make sure that that is the first thing I do when I wake up. Funny thing is, I actually forgot how good it feels not to be sunlight deprived. The energy I had after 30 minutes of meditating in the sad lamp was just unmatched. I walked into the gym with the exact same mindset that I had on the previous day. I'm not fearful of death, and we are going to the death. With every single rep pushing myself past what my brain thinks is the limit, ignoring the salesperson in my mind trying to convince me to stop. I've found this meditative state where I just don't think and I don't listen to my mind, and I just keep going for more repetitions until my body can't physically do it anymore. It's not the easiest thing to replicate, but when I get into that state, I go so far beyond what I normally can, it's not even funny. But anyways, I head off to work, smash out a shift. It's a shorter one today, so I just go straight to the shops and I'm looking for a special item. I'm going to leave it a surprise until I find it, but I was unfortunately not in luck today. The first thing I do upon arriving home is getting stuck into a burger cheese. But unfortunately, after finishing my burger cheese, I'm met with an even worse version of the dots than before. It's like they're evolving or something. I was just button mashing and the dots are gone, so I'm taking the opportunity to grind. This is such an exciting moment. The dots are gone. We can finally grind and continue. The lines are back already. I ended up putting out a post to all my subscribers to see if anyone could give me a hand with the problem. Someone said that it looked like artifacts from a faulty GPU and that I should try reseating it, if not getting a new GPU. So I thought I would give it a shot and see what happens. This is my first time dealing with the graphics card of a PC, so I take my time and just make sure I'm doing everything right. Once I finally get it out, I make sure to give it some red light therapy in order to try and help it recover. You wouldn't believe it, but once I put it back into my PC, all of the dots were gone. I spent some time in the range to warm up, but also make sure that the dots weren't going to come back before going and doing my sprint training for the day. I didn't realize how sore my legs would be after doing this, so I decided to do it every second day, do a little warm up, do some stretches, and then just go as hard as I can. Something super interesting to note is that it's a completely different sensation when you're running on a carnivore diet and you're fat adapted versus when you're running on a carb-based diet and you're burning carbs. The best way I can explain it is that I feel like slightly out of breath when I get to the end of my sprint, but it's not uncomfortable. It's actually a very comfortable out of breath. Before doing the carnivore diet, high intensity training actually felt horrible for me. Like sometimes I'd want to throw up. Sometimes I felt lightheaded and really like everything just felt so horrible. But to be this comfortable after going to my absolute limit on a sprint, super weird. I've synced up sprinting days and beef liver days, so it's just a simple routine now, do my sprints and eat some beef liver. Once I get that down, it's time to start preparing for our grind. After warming up the hands and washing my arm with some soap, it's physical warm up, get my latimus dorsis moving around, get some blood flow to the body, as well as sharpen my hand-eye coordination. I'm calling it right now. As I go into this game, the full focus is absolute fearless to the death. Well, you heard it from myself. We're playing comp and we're going to the death. The main focus for this game, and the only focus, is to just simply not be scared of dying. I was starting to finally understand what it feels like to put yourself on the line, to sacrifice yourself in order to take a side. I do not fear death. I was finally able to let go with absolutely zero expectation of surviving. However, as hard and as brave as we fought, unfortunately it was not enough to secure the win, but at least we got some very valuable experience. Considering I did plan to play more games than we usually do, I decided to emphasize the importance of taking breaks between games, stretching and clearing my mind. Once I felt like I was a blank canvas once again, I queue into another game. I do not fear death. Now, the main focus on attack may have been not fearing death, but on defense, there is a new concept that I want to introduce you to.
Whenever you play defense, you kind of have these stages of how you're playing. Like you have the first stage, which is the initial peak. Then you have the second stage. Then you have the third stage. And then you have the fourth stage. Understand?
Stage 1 is the initial peak, and then I fall back. Stage 2 is this angle that I hold. I get a kill and fall back. Stage 3 is holding across with Reyna. Oh, you can hold butts? I'm holding cross with Reyna. Not only that, but we're starting to get some mid-round calls going. Peeking butts, peeking butts. Wait, help.
Help.
One more.
One more.
Clean. This next round is even cleaner. Here's stage 1. Here's stage 2. Here's stage 3. Just like that, we've won the round. 3, 2, 1, go. Go. This simple formula was a gift that kept on giving. Throughout the entire defensive half, I just felt like I had the buffs on lock. Swag. Swapping over to attack, and I was still feeling that confidence.
Wait, hell. One's outside shower, one's in here. Sniper's here.
Evan. And ultimately, that confidence led us to a beautiful victory. As I was progressing through these games, my aim was getting sharper, my mind was getting crisper, and my decisions were getting better. I queue into our next game and get Ascent. Over here, steps, pop flash, kill, death. I wanted to make this game all about having a plan, whether it was just by myself or with the team. This time you jiggle and like bait this corner and I'll go wide. Do you want to jiggle this corner here and I'll go wide? Not only did it feel so extraordinarily powerful, once we took the advantage, we held the advantage. Just fall back. We'll play the advantage. I did make sure to continue applying my stages in defense and trying not to get too carried away with aggressive plays. We end up bringing the game from 2-5 to 7-5, that confidence fueling me to push even harder on the attack side. Unfortunately, for some reason, I just still was too stressed while playing, and I wasn't managing my tension nearly well enough. I was able to pick up on that mid-game, I did a bit of breathing between rounds, and I ended up feeling much better. There's a super clear difference between when my aim is calm and not, the shakes disappear, it's smooth, and I usually hit the head straight away. I potentially was taking it a bit too far, but the confidence was just flowing through me and I just wanted to run it down sight, run it through the enemy team and just destroy. Like at this point, I really didn't fear death. Like I actually did not at all. A lot of the entries didn't even go well, but it was still enough to get us the win. Our next game ended up being on Abyss. The aggressive plays were starting to become a bit more of a textbook thing for us. It just feels so much more natural to just run in and die. And obviously it's going to get to a point where we have to start fine-tuning that. But for now, I'm just happy to build that. Keep building on that. To just keep experiencing the way of the cringy jet main. To limit test and figure out what we're actually capable of doing. One thing I should mention is that I've definitely started using the Vandal again. And using the Vandal is really exposing my crouch spraying problem now. But as I explained in the last video, if we become conscious of it now, it's only going to do us harm. Our attack side on this map is actually starting to get so much better. And when we have a good attack side half, it's always a good game because honestly I'm just a very defense sided player. Blessed with the AWP in hand, the rest of the game was just easy pickings. Between games, I really wanted to try and stop crouch spraying. I know it's not ideal and that I should be doing this at night and then sleeping on it, but I didn't want to play the rest of my games crouch spraying. But anyways, we're back to Lotus where we've been coached and we know exactly what to do. Coming back to Lotus, I feel like we've now got the exact pace required. It's just simply about being a little bit smarter about our decisions. Our defense definitely felt more impactful and the game was super close right through till the end. Our retakes specifically were looking a whole lot better. However, one of our main downfalls is that as the game started to get closer and closer to overtime, I started to crouch spray more and more. Yeah, push. I forgot to record the actual loss, but I can tell you guys that we lost. It was a super disappointing loss, but we move on, specifically to the burger cheese. Alright, next game, we're on Sunset. We've got the burger cheese within us, fueling success. It is impossible to lose at this point.
See the smoke? Right now, can you flash the smoke? That's good.
Alright, clearly my brain isn't working anymore. We end up losing this game, but the amount of game time that we got in today, provided we can get some good sleep, hopefully all the experience will get downloaded into our subconscious, you know what I mean? To truly enhance that, I'm going to introduce you to non-sleep deep rest, known as NSDR. Long story short, it puts you in a really deep state of rest, where you replay memories at 20 times the speed in the subconscious brain. Basically, you learn a lot faster and it's super cool, increases dopamine, lowers your heart rate, happy days. Now, unfortunately, it's a Friday night, and Friday nights suck because of Friday night footy. I was already in the same state as I was yesterday, super stressed and really struggling to sleep, so the combination had me falling asleep at almost 11 o'clock. So I allowed myself to get an extra hour of sleep, setting my circadian rhythm using my sad lamp, and then I'm off to go and enjoy an 8-hour shift. I've got the usual routine down, cheesy chicken at work, burger cheese as soon as I get home, eat it hopefully in some sunlight to avoid the sunlight deprivation, and then come back to more dots. I thought they were gone, I don't get it. I perform another GPU resit, and no luck. I kind of just threw my hands up in the air and said, you know what, I'm just going to aim train anyways. My screen was pretty messed up, but at the same time, if I don't play any games, it doesn't matter. I was trying to go back to my old ways of left-right bursts all the time, but once I started to get into stressful situations, the crouch spraying was just subconsciously coming out, so I haven't relearned that yet. But believe it or not, the dots actually started to disappear. And once my screen cleared up enough, I decided I'm taking the opportunity to play a competitive game. The game didn't start off amazing, but I definitely had some amazing teammates.
Let's like push you up, Jet. See if we can get you a kill, get you on the board. Get your confidence up.
There.
I like it, let's do it.
Get on, bro. Get to it.
My ult's ready. One enemy remaining.
Nice, Jet. Here we go, bud. This is you.
Flawless.
There we go, nice. Honestly, from that one single round alone, confidence skyrocketed and I just started fragging out. I bought the AWP, started killing everyone, and we ended up winning the game. Like, it was just crazy how that changed my mindset so much. Before the game even finished though, I was starting to get those artifacts again and my computer wasn't working, so I tried playing a deathmatch to cool down, but it was kind of just frustrating having the dots on my screen. So I get off right on time, redo my setup, mainly just to take my PC off the floor and onto my desk, giving me easier access and better airflow. But after setting up all my peripherals and having myself ready to go for tomorrow, I do a bit of mindful sweeping just to tidy up, and then spend the rest of my wind down just reading to try and ready my mind for sleep. It didn't end up being an amazing sleep, but it was definitely better than the previous nights. I got myself back on track with the 4:30 gym schedule, just to make sure that we don't slip up at all. Of course, making sure to use our sad lamp first thing in the morning, but I think at this point my brain was really starting to fry itself for some reason. I walk out the door in my gym clothes, realizing that I have to go straight to work afterwards. Meaning I went back inside, got changed and left again. Waste of time and very suboptimal. Today we're getting stuck into chest, shoulders and tries. Starting off with our bench. Since we're doing free weights, I really emphasized the warm up with the bar only, before leveling up to 5 kilos, 10 kilos, and lastly 15 kilos, which is actually a personal record. I barely reached 12 repetitions with this weight, so I just stick to that and do about 3 sets. From there, I move on to my isolation exercises. We do our lower chest, then our upper chest, then our middle chest, then triceps. For shoulders, I do all the different heads of my delts, and then just do some shoulder presses as well. After our gym session and a nice quick shift at work, I finally find what I was looking for: fresh oysters, so that we can improve our testosterone. How exciting! I was super skeptical, but honestly, I actually didn't mind them at all. It's my first time ever having oysters, and the first one I bit into because that's what they said to do. It's like enjoy the flavors and stuff, but probably won't do that again because it was a bit intense, I won't lie. So I just swallowed the rest of them straight away. In order to make sure that our final Valorant session of the week is smooth sailing, I reseat the GPU, hoping that it'll get rid of any dots that are on my damn screen, which didn't work, so I'm currently in the car on the way to Senecom, and I just bought myself a new graphics card because I was kind of just sick of it. You might be wondering where that money came from, and it came from last week's $1,000 savings. Our net worth is now $1,490. Because I was upgrading to a 4070, I needed to upgrade to a 750 watt power supply, so installing both of those took me a fair while, but it wasn't overly complicated. Firstly, I installed the power supply and made sure that it worked. Then of course it was time for the 4070. After reseating my old GPU 5 times, I actually feel like I'm a bit of an expert when it comes to replacing graphics cards, so this was a breeze. After installing it, I was met with a whole bunch of dots. Worse than before. To make sure I didn't throw my PC out the window, I start a RAM diagnostics test and just kind of walk out the house. This situation is probably the biggest challenge we've faced on the channel so far. I just drove multiple hours to go and get the graphics card. I spent $1,000 that was completely unjustifiable. I came home, spent hours trying to teach myself how to build a computer, all for it to just be worse than before. But then I realized I was on a golf course that had measurements in the ground, allowing me to understand exactly where 50 meters was, and that was really cool, so I decided to do some sprints. I think I need to figure out a good system for benchmarking my sprint progression, because I want to try and get really fast, try and push for those 100-meter sprints, and see how far we can get with it. Once again, I just kind of did the Zasko 2 classic move where I throw my hands up in the air and just say, oh well. I just aim train with the dots on my screen covering it, and then I cue a deathmatch. and then I queue a comp. At this point it's 5:45 on a Sunday, meaning this is our last game of the video, our last game of the entire week. And let me tell you, this was a special game. For the first time all day, the cursed dots weren't overwhelmingly bad. I was actually able to focus on the game a fair bit. This was finally my opportunity to make Coach Oscar proud. I'll bait for you, bro. Oh, they got mid in mine.
Get rid of the spam.
The game plan was simple. Work with the team, play aggressive and take space, but always reposition after getting shot. I decided to go Sheriff so I could save up for an AWP as soon as possible. Oh god, my screen. But once finally getting my hands on the AWP, I just kept applying the exact same game plan. Here, I'm holding tiles, I push up, I take a shot, even though it doesn't connect, I still reposition, allowing me to catch the jet off guard because she thought I was short. The second I get that kill, I reposition once again to CT where I get another kill. Now stripped of literally all their attacking power, their sentinel and controller try to push onto A by themselves and just simply run out of time to plan. I spend my eco headshotting everyone with a Sheriff before saving up for another AWP and starting to wreak havoc once again. Pick B main wide if someone wants to bait for me. The plan was simple, I go wide, teammate jiggles close, and I get a kill. But unfortunately no one picked B main, and I had to play retake with an AWP. I go with the same plan on the A site, this time working just as planned, but of course we stick to our game plan and reposition immediately to peek short. Knowing that Chamber's holding top mid and that I just shot an AWP A main, chances are the team's rotating to B side and could peek tiles any second now. Mindful of the fact that Chamber is definitely holding short right now, I opt out of mid and rotate through CT. He's probably holding me. My team ends up doing the rest of the work, but I wanted to show you guys where my thought processes were at. This here will make Coach Oscar proud. You can see me unpeak, check the minimap, come up with a plan, realize that short is open, re-peek, and then kill two. It's textbook.
Do you wanna hold the angle? I'll go.
Yep. I'm holding low. After coming up with a game plan with Raze, unfortunately it ends up going south because we get droned out. However, what the enemy team is not aware of is that I now have balls of steel, and I simply just no longer fear death. But the only thing scarier than an explosive man is an explosive man with the ability to control it. We take the advantage and I fall back, knowing that we are now in a 5 versus 3 and there is nothing they can do to win this round. Clove is completely unaware of the fact that she was spotted on the cypher cam, and that little does she know, I'm here holding a head level ready to up my headshot percentage with this AWP. The time ticks down to 0 and we win another beautiful round. Should we walk up, try find the cypher trips? Or should we just full send?
No, your ideas suck, bro. Yeah, we can walk up. I'm gonna...
With the half ending 9-3 in our favor, the only question now is can we keep up this momentum through the attack side of this game? The one side that has been our weakest link throughout this entire week. Unfortunately, it starts off with a bit of an overheat, but don't worry, we will adapt. Despite my ineffective entry pathing, I make sure not to lose confidence. Dashing in the second the team needs me to, willing to die for the greater purpose. And dying is exactly what I did.
Pushed up.
One gen. One dice.
Now when I say I've been playing with the team's utility, check this out. I'm aware that there's people peeking heaven. Sova starts droning, the second that drone peeks out and grabs their attention, I simultaneously swing at the exact same time. Not only that, but the second Clove ults, I swing again, and I get nothing for it, but the thought is there, okay? The thought is there. I just kept doing this exact same entry pathing as I don't actually know any better right now. But these final rounds were so messy. Like, it was so uncoordinated.
Out heaven, right side.
To make matters even worse, the dots started to mutate again. They started to grow, mass produce. The game ended up in overtime. In a 3 versus 4 scenario, we've got no advantage at all, so I take a risky play. Sova darts to clear me out, but I block line of sight with the box in the middle and fight Jet. Pop my dash and start swinging, signaling to my teammate to tap the bomb in order to bait the Sova. The second my teammate does, Sova starts walking up, and it's textbook. He gets a bullet to the forehead. Nice. Please scream, please, I beg. At this point, honestly, I can barely see what's going on my screen. I just dash onto site and hope for the best, but my team had my back in the end. But we walk away with a match MVP win, and back to our rank up game, which is exactly where we started. Somehow, we did not plummet our rank with this whole situation. This is literally how bad it got while I was playing. I wish the recording would show it, but this is how bad it got. On the day this video gets released, I get my next pay, so I guess that's probably going to go towards fixing up this computer. It was super stressful, and it's been a super stressful week altogether. Don't even know why. I've probably just reached failure IRL out of the gym, you know? Like, this is just me grinding until absolute failure. So I might have to rest. Yeah, I actually did hit a lot of yellows this week. Yellows indicating personal bests, so this is very good. Yellow is good. Also, I definitely realize how imbalanced things are at the moment, so what I've done is gotten my contract for work from 25 hours down to 20. It's an extra 5 hours in the week. Maybe I can put that towards recovery. But our final Zasko 2 rating is 748, massive increase. G up, get G'd up. If I happen to sound a little bit tired, it's because I've been editing for about 13 hours. I've got to go figure out an introduction now. Goodbye everybody, I'll see you all next week, where we continue the grind. I will get recovered.